Greetings and salutations, this is Hugh Jarsz, the biggest YouTuber ever! And good morning, Jarsholes! Welcome to another edition of the Daily Jarsz for Tuesday, the 21st of November, 2023. 1 month to the December solstice. Better start thinking about Christmas. Members, let's see some corgis in the chats. Oh, Hugh Jars's and word salad cream, that's good too, Stringer News 1. A special shout out to those who clicked subscribe yesterday. Welcome to the world of Jarsz. I hope you enjoy the show. Although this one was tough. I'm not sure how it's going to go. And that's why I say we're going to look at an exasperating flirt. This Yes, that crazy, insane laugh. He refers to himself as the brilliant expat Taffy, which should tell you something about his apparent mental state. Of course, he thinks the moon landings were all fake, but it's utterly useless at debunking any of them. But before we get stuck into him, I want to thank my YouTube members. Thank you once again for all that you do for me, and thanks for being part of the Hugh Jarsz movement. And yes, I still haven't done the roll. It was because I had some good news yesterday, which took my attention. So in the meantime, let me personally recognise the members who joined thanks to Siggy Sigwald's generosity. Armageddon's Fire, Peter Harrington, Siggy Sigwald himself, Professor Phil Bell, Phil de Ork, Zio Gold, A Madman, Clarence AS2, Rich 901, Tinker Phil, Igor, Mr. Unite for the Chill Wind, Edison Carter, Facty, Dart, Peter Nodal, Didge Ridu, Dr. Nimrod, Lady Moonweb, Paul's Heart Attack Support, and Doc C. On to Taffy. He lives in Thailand but hasn't put out a video in 8 months, so I hope he hasn't run into health problems, given his apparent age, which I'm told is about 78. Well, sorry, no, it was 78 2 years ago, so he's 80 now. Regardless, he's left us a wellspring of dirt to look through. Most of it is regarding photos of the moon landing, which in some cases is quite convincing at first until you realise he's not looking at NASA images, but copies of them. But we'll get into that. Let me play this video to introduce him somewhat. It's from my friend Kevin Kennedy from Dead Kennedy in Space. Please subscribe to him. He's doing quite well right now. He's had a lot of new members recently. Links in the description. I'm going to have to speed Taffy up because he takes forever to make his points. But let's have a look at how Dead Kennedy in Space dealt with him.
What it was, I think it was the year 1989. Sat in my cab at the university in Cardiff, waiting for a certain scientist to come out. He got in the car and he noticed I was reading the South Wales Echo, South Wales newspaper. And he noticed what I was reading was celebrating for the 20th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landings. He looked at me and he smiled, then he laughed. He said, "Hey, you don't believe that crap, do you, Greg?" I said, "What do you mean, don't believe that crap? I've seen it on the TV. Of course I believe in it."
So, let's list off the tells that this is a fake story that never happened. First, the denier he encountered was supposedly a scientist. Press X to doubt. Second, Taffy's justification for believing the moon landings was that he saw it on TV. No person has ever said that they believe something because they saw it on TV. In fact, it's a well-known adage that most things you see on TV are not real and are to be handled with extreme skepticism. You ever heard of Chris Angel, Taffy? All right, so what did your denier friend tell you that made you change your oh-so-made-up mind?
He said, don't be so damn stupid, he said. They haven't been anywhere. Nobody's been up there, he said. He said, up there is vast layers of radiation. Anybody try to go through that, they're going to come back as a packet of crisps, he said. I said, what the heck are you talking about? So he started explaining a lot to me why it was impossible. Oh, so from that day on, I thought, hey, let's do a bit of research into these moon landings.
So you believe the landings happened because NASA told you so, i.e. I saw it on the TV, and you were convinced they didn't happen because of the Van Allen radiation belts, which you only know exist because NASA told you so. Are you seeing the disconnect yet? By the way, those radiation belts, what would you say, Taffy, if I were to tell you that James Van Allen, the man who discovered the radiation belts, says it's no problem for the Apollo missions?
And I might leave this video here. It was just a good introduction to Taffy, and Dead Kennedy did a very good job of that. Look up this video on his channel, Dead Kennedy in Space, and watch the rest of it. It's worthwhile watching. Let's have a look at Taffy himself, though. His own videos. Oh, God, this is terrible. And like I said, I have to speed him up because takes an interminable amount of time to actually get his point across. Neil Armstrong was a liar. No, he won't be remembered as that because you're a lunatic. Get on with it. Come on.
Hi there, folks. Welcome to another video by the brilliant expat Taffy.
Yeah.
This video here is going to provide more evidence that NASA faked the moon landings and that Neil Armstrong is a blatant liar, or should we say, was a blatant liar. Now, folks, what sparked this video is a recent video I stumbled across on YouTube, a video I watched years ago.
So evidence is video on YouTube. Not a good start.
And it was by what I consider to be about the greatest author on YouTube. And that author is Richard D. Hall for Rich Planet TV. Now, I've subscribed to Richard Hall for quite a few years now. I mainly started taking interest in his videos when he done many videos researching the disappearance.
You see what I mean? Imagine if I was playing this at normal speed. He's slow enough at this speed.
Of a child in Portugal named Madeline McCann. And he done a number of
We don't want to talk
videos
about
on
that. That's a terrible situation.
Now, one thing Richard done, after he thought he'd exhausted all channels of discovering where...
Yeah,
the body
well,
of Madeline
no,
McCann
don't
is,
mention that.
he contacted a man in America named Peter Hyatt. Now, this Peter Hyatt is a very professional speech analyzer. He's a man who studied over 200 cases, and he's never once been proven wrong. Now, what Richard done was...
Never once been proven wrong. That's always a tell, don't you think? That could well be that no one's even bothered because they think he's a crank.
Gave him a lot of transcripts from an interview, or shall we say, a press conference with the Apollo 3. And he asked...
Apollo 3. Apollo 3. Apollo 3 was not a manned mission. In fact, it wasn't actually a mission at all. The first Apollo launch was Apollo 4. Apollo 1 was just an exercise. Unfortunately, had that tragic fire. Apollo 2 and 3 were the same thing. They were just doing stuff on the ground to make sure things worked. And they put it all together for Apollo 4. So I don't know why he mentions Apollo 3.
Peter Hyatt to give his opinion on whether these men were speaking the truth or not. Now, he done 3 videos on what is known as Analyzing the Astronauts, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. It's when I was watching this Volume 1, I noticed a very serious anomaly. One where Neil Armstrong was blatantly lying.
Yeah, as we'll see, it's not a big deal. He's just making it one, but we'll see.
Richard never picked it up, but that's no discredit to Richard because what Richard hasn't done is studied all the photos for the Apollo missions. Now,
neither have you.
I wanted to get in touch with Richard to ask him if I could mirror that video of his, but I failed to find any way to contact him. So what I've done is just taken some clips from his videos. What are the most important to me to show you is Sirius Anomaly, where Neil Armstrong is the delivery line. I've just taken a couple of small clips. I leave in my pre-report the link to Richard's 3 videos.
Yes. Roll on. Show us the clips.
Okay, folks, take a look at this first clip here that I've taken from Richard D. Hall's video.
So I selected a 7-minute long Neil Armstrong interview from 1970, transcribed it, and I've asked Peter to analyze it, which he's done. It cost me $275 for the analysis. So that's what you've paid for, essentially, by coming here. So, so this interview aired on the Sky at Night on the 18th of November, 1970, which is less than a year and a half after the moon landings. So everything should be pretty clear in Neil Armstrong's mind. So what you're going to...
And so Patrick Moore is going to be the late, great Patrick Moore is going to be the interviewer here. The Sky at Night is a British program. Well, it used to be. I think it's still going. Patrick Moore did it for 30 years or something like that, talking about what's happening in the sky at night, obviously. Better YouTubers do that these days, but yeah, he was a British institution.
What you see here is a very short clip of the interview, followed by Peter Hyatt's analysis, then another clip, and then more analysis. So although it's only a 7-minute long interview, probably take me 20, 25 minutes to get through the analysis. So
get on with it then.
The theme of distance continues in the description of colour. First, he uses the self-reference that I've already mentioned, rather than engage in experiential memory. We note the first reference was also not first-person statement. Next, we note that he avoids telling us what he himself saw by using second-person universal you. You generally have the impression. It is impossible for anyone not there to have this impression, including the interviewer, who did not experience it. We prefer he state without qualification what he saw. It is not. When the pronoun I re-emerges, it is a weak assertion. I suspect that as we get, which is another disconnect from the formula of reliability. First-person singular past tense with...
This is a little bit of over-analysis. I mean, especially on something like Apollo, which was massively a team effort. You sort of think of it in terms of that. You wouldn't think of it individually. It wasn't an individual achievement. It was a group effort achievement.
Sensory description.
When you were actually walking about, did you have any difficulty in distance judging? Because I think I heard you say once that far things looked quite near.
Far things look quite near.
Yes, far things look quite near when there's no atmosphere between you and the thing. This is the thing I don't get about moon landing deniers. They completely ignore the fact that you're in a situation that at Apollo 11's case, no person had ever been in before. No one had ever stood on the surface of a planet with no atmosphere, or very little atmosphere. Or effectively none, anyway. So you're going to get a different experience. They were the first ones to experience this. In some ways, they'll have difficulty describing it, but they'll discover things that they don't know about.
The topic is sight. The one being interviewed is singular. We look for him to answer with I saw in some form. Sensory is very individual. When it is discussed, one may then say the thoughts or perceptions of another. But here he is interviewed alone and is being asked for first-person eyewitness account. He does not give a first-person singular account.
So? You're just playing word games. Unless you're a psychologist, which I don't believe you are, I wouldn't put any credence in any of this analysis. This is just, I'm looking for things that I want to be upset about.
Yes, we had some difficulties in perception of distance. For example, our television camera, we judged to be from the cockpit of the lunar module only about 50 to 60 feet away, yet we knew that we had pulled it out to the full extension of a 100-foot cable. Similarly, we had difficulty...
So in that case, he was just 40% wrong. But, like I said, he's in a situation that no human being had ever been in at that point.
Guessing how far the hills out on the horizon might be.
What? Hills on the horizon? According to you, Neil, or according to NASA, you took every photo for Apollo 11. Buzz Aldrin never took any photo.
Well, that's not quite true. Buzz Aldrin did take at least one photo. I'll show you that in a minute. In fact, I might show it now. I've got to do this. Hang on. This is the photo that NASA confirms Buzz Aldrin took. And that's Neil Armstrong there, although I can't see his red stripes, but he's facing the other way. Red stripe indicates that he's the commander, and that's how they could tell between them. You're off Stringer News. All right, we'll see you next time. Hope you catch up later. Yes, Father Ted comes to mind. Where's Wally? Yes. But it's different when there's no atmosphere. But that's the photo Buzz Aldrin took. So that's not quite right, but he didn't take a lot because Buzz Aldrin, his mission when he was on the surface of the moon was to move around. You'll see, if you watch the video, you'll see he's just moving around and just sort of getting used to the gravity and operating in his suit, so that information can be used for later missions. But because once again, no one for Apollo 11, no one had ever done this before. They needed to discover a few things that they took for granted later on, but they needed to do them in the first place. And that's why Apollo 11 spent the least amount of time on the moon, because they didn't know, what they needed to encounter, and they just reduced the risk. It's really obvious when you think about it, but hey, we're talking about expat Taffy. He's not going to think about it. He's just going to confirm his own biases.
Because according to NASA, you took the lot of them, and now you're talking about hills on your horizon, but you never took one photo of any hills on the horizon, because in Apollo 11, there are no hills visible anywhere.
And that's largely true. Again, I'll show you the NASA gallery, and I don't believe this is the full gallery, but this shows the images, and as you can see, the horizon on any of these is pretty much flat. So that suggests to me that Armstrong was just talking figuratively, really. There were certainly hills on the horizon in later missions, so it seems like a small point. He might have just misspoke. That's a feasible hypothesis. But otherwise, Taffy's got a good point. But you need a bit more evidence to confirm that he was being deliberately wrong.
Lie number 1, Neil, no hills at all.
No, a bit hard to call it a lie, given it could have been just misspeaking. He was just saying a figure of speech.
So let's take a look at some of the photos you claim you took on the moon, shall we? Neil, just remember, I didn't take them. You claim you took them. Let's take a look at them. Okay, Neil, we'll start off with some early ones first, shall we? Here's AS11-37-5468. Now, you claim you took this photo. So, where's the hills? Neil, I don't see any hills. All I see is a slight sloping surface, which, according to NASA, is your incompetence because you never held the camera vertical.
You've got to remember he's in a spacesuit and he's on the moon. He's in a spacesuit which has thick gloves. It's going to be hard to operate the camera regardless. The fact that you got a photo at all is pretty impressive. I imagine that's the television camera they were referring to, although I can't see the cord, although there is a bit of a cord there. And it doesn't look like it's out to the full extension, does it? That's interesting. And that's apparently 100 foot. But if it's curved like that, it's not going to be the full 100 foot. But you can see what he means, that it doesn't look like it's 100 foot away. What's that, 30 meters? Yes, the perception is different because there's no atmosphere. You're getting a different effect. There's certainly no refraction.
Okay, Neil, this is another one you claim you took. The number of this one is AS11-39-5793. And I still don't see any hills. Okay, Neil?
No, I agree. There's no hills there. There might be, you might call that slight bumper hill. We can't really say. No doubt that Armstrong saw hills as he was coming down in the lander, and when he took off, he would have seen hills in the distance. Maybe he's confusing that with this experience. Either way, it's not a big point, Taffy. I shouldn't be labouring it.
Here's another one you claim you took. This is Buzz emerging from the limb. And the number of this photo is AS11-40-5866. And again, I don't see any hills. Okay, for all those Apollo fans, it'd be great if Neil could tell us where's the hills in this one. And again, he's showing incompetence.
Well, there's a bit of a lump there. But again, I'm happy to accept this point. There's not a lot of evidence for hills, but it's not a big point because he could easily have just been misspeaking, confusing memories of the flight above the moon.
As far as NASA's concerned, because he never held the camera vertical. He's got it on a tilt. And for those who...
Yeah, I covered that earlier. He's got these big, thick gloves. It's going to be hard to get it right every time.
Were wondering what the yellow arrow is pointing to. If Neil was here today, I wonder if he could tell us, did he notice what was in the footpad of this limb near Buzz Aldrin's boot? Be great if Neil could answer this, wouldn't it? I wonder if you could answer this, Neil. Did you spot this little wee pink flamingo?
He sees a blob and assumes it's a pink flamingo. It's a bit of a jump.
in Buzz Aldrin's footpad. And just remember, he hasn't got a spacesuit, mind. Now, according to the nutter, Brian Pop Robson, a.k.a. Paul Patton from England, this is not a wee little pink flamingo. It's a boot belt.
Yes, they had external boots. That's a meme you often see from flat earthers. They show the boots on Neil Armstrong's suit, which is in the Smithsonian. I've actually seen it myself in New York, Washington, sorry. But on the moon, they had these external boots so that they didn't drag dirt into the lunar module. And of course, they left them on the moon because it was extra weight they didn't need to bring back. So yes, it could well be a belt, given they're meant to be over boots.
And as you can see here, according to another NASA nutcase, Astrobrand 2, in reply to me, expat Taffy, no, I didn't spot any flamingo. I'm not schizophrenic. Well,
yes. Yes, there's no pink flamingo. I mean, why would there be a pink flamingo there? It's crazy talk.
Well, if you can't spot that, you can see why the idiot have left YouTube, can't you? Another idiot that the brilliant expat Taffy sent packing, just like Dirty Slack. Oh, mama. And what about this one, Neil? AS11-40-5903. According to you, you took this photo, and according to NASA, you didn't have the brains to hold the camera vertical. You got it on a tilt again. Surprising, we got exactly the same in Apollo 12 as well.
Do I have to say it again? I mean, look at their big, thick gloves. They're not going to be able to do it very easily. I mean, I do that without gloves myself. They're not paid to be expert photographers. They're paid to be astronauts, for God's sake.
Only the tilt is the other way. And as you can see again, Neil, no mountains. So where are these mountains you've been talking about? Here you are, Neil, another one you claim you took. AS11-40-5870. And as you can see, we can see one thing, you managed to get the camera vertical because you've now got the horizon horizontal, as it should be. But where are the mountains, Neil? I don't see any. Okay, Neil, here's another one. AS11-40-5969. Another one where you must have been drinking too much moonshine. Because this one, same as some of the others, you still haven't got the camera vertical. And perhaps with this one, you can explain how you made a shadow on the left. Yes, Neil, your shadow on the left, which when brightened up becomes green. And it's got the head of a man. Either the Incredible Hulk.
What? Are you crazy? The head of a man. Okay, I need a corgi break. Fortunately, I can't play any sound because the music is copyrighted that I have on this upcoming video. I'm giving you a sneak peek. But I need corgis in my life to take me away from the stupid. Oh, Bearish, you're such a tart. Here she comes. All floppy ears. I'm going to get them trimmed back soon because summer's coming along. Oh, okay. That makes me feel better. Let's get back to Taffy. I won't put you through much more of him. I've had enough of him, to be honest. Just back on this one. I think what he's also saying is the pole has a shadow going this way, and yet this is in shadow. But let's just ignore the man nonsense. That's because there's a part of the lem over here casting a shadow on this bit, whatever this is. That's all it is. You never even considered that, and yet you just assumed it was a picture of some sort of alien man. Why would you go for the most ridiculous possible option rather than thinking about it?
Or the Mangalore mercenary. Perhaps you can explain that, Neil. And what about this one, Neil? AS11-40-5946.
What's the problem?
And I can't see any hills in this one at all, Neil. So
Yep, we've covered that bit. I I mean, the horizon isn't exactly flat. You can see there's a slight bump there. There's a couple of boulders there and there. Over here, it sort of rises up. But yeah. Again, there's the television camera. That's supposed to be 100 foot, although because we saw the cable was curved, it's less than 100 foot. But they thought it was 60 foot. So, you know, people make mistakes. It's only a judgment call. It's not like we're saying they measured it.
Where's these hills you're talking about if you couldn't judge the distance? And what about this one, Neil? Here's a cropping of another photo you're supposed to have taken. Now, you can see the horizon here, and what you can see on the horizon is not hills, they are rocks. So how can you see rocks on the horizon where you can't see hills that are 200 foot high?
Oh, for God's sake. Can you stop talking about the hills? Oh, okay, I've had enough of this. Let's just go into memes and be done with him. He's just too much of a fool. Oh, goodness me. I need more corgis. Give me more corgis. Anyway, so some Flurf memes to start off with. Earth's rotational speed. Flurfs are very scared of big numbers. 1,000 miles per hour, 66600. It's actually 67 miles per hour. Sun's orbital speed, 500,000 miles per hour around the galaxy, that is. And galactic speed through space, 1,300,000 miles per hour. There's one thing missing from each of these. Relative to what? And none of them are relative to the same thing. Flurfs don't get that all speed is relative. Trust the science. This is a terrible, terrible meme. Trust the science, not that science. Well, first of all, it's not clear what that science is. And second of all, what they've put in as their evidence for what science is and what pseudoscience is so small, it's impossible to read it. This is on a big screen, and I can't read this text here. That defeats the purpose of the meme. They're so incompetent, they can't even meme correctly. And the old chestnut, truth versus lie. If Earth am flat, abundant resources, cyclical energy. Well, why would it be abundant? You're sort of still trapped within the dome, aren't you? Cyclical energy. I don't know how that follows. No global warming. Really? Center of the universe. I'm not sure why that's important. No aliens. Well, so. No evolution. Sorry, the evidence says otherwise. No Big Bang. Sorry, the evidence says otherwise. Free energy. If that was the case, don't you think we'd have it already? Equality for all. Oh, really? I don't think, if the Earth is flat right now, we don't have equality for all. So how does that follow? Created by God. Evidence, please. And if the globe is a lie, we get scared. Oh, they're just saying the opposite of what's over here, really. Idiots. Oh, and the final lie. Yes, this is a lie. We came from monkeys. No, we came from apes. Not the same thing. Learn what you're trying to debunk and realize that you're foolish. How does GPS work on flat Earth? They just replace global with ground positioning system. Triangulation through towers is what they're saying, but that doesn't work on the ocean. How do planes fly over oceans for thousands of kilometers? The football team loses and they're like Braveheart, but the government destroys your business, family, and health, and they're like sheep. Well, if that was the case, we'd never vote governments out, would we? But we do. Flat Earth destroys these Luciferian myths. I'm not sure why, first of all, they're Luciferian. And second of all, you need evidence to prove they're myths. There's evidence for Big Bang. There's evidence for evolution. There's evidence that the sun is at the center of the solar system. Relativity has lots of evidence. Gravity has lots of evidence. Space-time has lots of evidence. Outer space has lots of evidence. Well, NASA definitely exists. It's no longer a question of if the globe will fall, but when. Flurfs have been saying that for 2,500 years. About time you hurried up, guys. belief in the existence of aliens normal. Ooh, belief that water requires a container. Insane. No, insisting that that proves the Earth am flat is insane. Because this is incredibly local. It's not the entire surface of the Earth, is it? And belief in aliens, well, some people believe in them, I guess. And I'm not sure, I wouldn't say I believe in them, but given the vastness of the universe, if life evolved here, clearly it evolved somewhere else as well. So I can't rule it out. Now, this is a showcase of Flirth deceit. Same exact clouds, 1978, 2017. This is, in fact, the 2013 second blue marble. And some Flirth has taken the same photo and changed the color of it and is presenting it saying, oh, they show you pictures and you believe it. Flirths are showing faked photos. So Flirths will believe it. They are liars. And they demonstrate it by the very meme that they're trying to say other people are liars. How deceitful can you be? Well, this was fun. On the X platform, it's always good to start the week off with a laugh. Almost 14,000 votes and 56.2, sorry, it's a bit unclear, 56.2% said Earth am flat. 56.2 of this idiot's audience said Earth was flat. I'm amazed it wasn't 100%. That means a lot of people are following him but don't believe the Earth is flat. He's shooting himself in the foot with his poll. But if you poll an audience of idiots, you shouldn't be surprised when you get an idiotic response. Oh, I thought this was hilarious. Someone asked, why aren't we ever at the very top of the curve? A sphere, by definition, has no top, you fools. How can you not understand that? Now, this is an interesting new theory because Flirths say water can't bend. But they also say that the firmament holds the waters back, which means waters, and it's a dome, so therefore waters are bending over the dome. So it's a bit self-contradictory. So if water finds its level, it has to be level above the firmament, the curved dome holding back the water. So therefore, and also water needs to be in a container, as we saw in the previous meme. So there has to be some walls there holding the water in. Otherwise, how is it sticking to the other side of the firmament? And then that's the flat Earth there. And what's this one? Unknown, unseen. We don't know what's underneath. Impossible on the globe. Well, the globe does the oceans quite well. I'm not sure what this is meant to be. But I thought that was an interesting new way of approaching the Flirths. Their own theories contradict themselves. And this was brilliant. I thought that we're getting into the mucker memes that there are more hydrogen atoms in a single molecule of water than there are stars in the entire solar system. You can't argue with that, can you? I mean, 2 is greater than 1, isn't it? And just a bit of fun to finish off with. The professor from Gilligan's Island could build a radio from coconuts, but couldn't fix a hole in a boat. I'm wondering if that show was real. And I'm also wondering if enough of my audience can remember Gilligan's Island, or are they too young? Anyway, that's pretty much the memes for today. No memes from Wally today, so I can't thank him for those. Have you seen a silly meme lately? Send it to me and I'll show it on the stream if it's fit for general consumption, of course. Contact details in the description of this video. Let me know who you'd like to look at in the near future by leaving a comment below. And because I appreciate all suggestions, and because someone suggested it, tomorrow I'm looking at Witsit. Witsit doesn't get it. It's going to be painful for me, but you asked for it. So extra oven mitts and oral diarrhea guards are necessary. A tough week for me with Taffy and Witsit, but at least I have Dave to look forward to. And speaking of Dave McKeegan will be joining me on Thursday's show, which is at 2000 UTC on Wednesday, locally to the UTC time zone in Britain. Do the YouTube things, like the stream, subscribe, click join, leave a comment. I love to read your comments. In particular, if you're one of the few who watch my videos who aren't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button below this video on your screen. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. And I think that just about does us. There's nothing left to do but cue the corgi.
You're despicable.